the economic calendar. Tunaangalia mambo na news pale kwa Forex Factory. Tuone what we expect on the fundamental side this week, and then after we are done with the fundamentals, after we are done with the outlook of economic calendar, we get into technicals and have a look on a few pairs. So let's check. So tomorrow is on Monday, and tomorrow being on Monday, hakuna any important news I can see on Monday. There's none. Let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday as well. On Tuesday as well, hakuna very high impact news. On Wednesday, we are going to have about the interest rates on NZD, the official official cash rates, and the other one is the RBNZ rate statements. For me, I'm not much into that New Zealand economy. Japan, we are going to have the governor giving a speech. That will be on Wednesday. So something might be up on Japanese yen pairs this week. On Wednesday, we are going to have the FOMC minutes. That is FOMC meeting minutes. So I hope you remember that we said once you see these minutes coming up, that means FOMC is just around the corner. So in the next week, if I'm not wrong, is when now we are going to have the FOMC. About that we will discuss in course of the week. After we have the report from the minutes, we are going to check into details. On Thursday, this is now where I can say this week much of the focus as far as fundamentals are concerned. This is now where we are going to have our focus on. And mostly is in the US economy, where we are going now to have the core CPI and we are going to have the CPI as well, right? So as you can see here, on the core CPI, remember we said that CPI stands for Consumer Price Index, and when we talk of Consumer Price Index, this is all about inflation in the US. And we said now where the real inflation happens is now where we have the core CPI, and in the other hand where we have the core PPI and also the core PCE, right? This is now where the real inflation happens, because it includes all prices except prices of things like food, the things which are their prices can fluctuate anytime. They are not included in that inflation decision, and that is now what gives us what the actual or the real now inflation. We get to know the state in this way. So as you can see, the previously inflation that is now on the core was at 0.2%, and this time is expected, or the forecast is at 0.3%. So there's high chances that we are going to have an increase according to statistics here. That's now according to statistics, right? And then coming to the CPI month to month, stands for month to month. Previous was at 0.2%. The expectation this time is a drop from 0.2 to 0.1, and for the year over year they are expecting a drop as well, right? And we are as well going to have the weekly unemployment claims. The previous was at 219k, an expectation of 223k is expected. So basically an increase is expected. And what I can say, I believe you guys have seen in the recent days, I've been telling you about the tariffs which the US government has been imposing, and you have seen their effects. I also provided some notes talking about that, the tariffs and the impact they can have on the dollar, to commodities like gold, and also to stocks. If you went through those notes, I believe you got something. If you did not do so, maybe in course of the week we will have a session and have a talk on that. So talking about this employment, I recall yesterday we had protests in the US, because if you look at the stock market, the market has lost over $10 trillion since the imposition of tariffs began. And what does that mean? For people who have been working in these small companies, because these companies have to import most of their raw materials, and since now both country, let me just say it's country A and country B, both countries have imposed taxes on their products. So what is going to happen is that most of these small companies which have employed majority, they will not be able to afford the cost of production and many other things concerning production, because they have to import the raw materials and stuff. So what is likely to happen? One, they will start laying off some workers, they will start reducing their workers. So the weekly unemployment claims this week, we might see an increase as per the statistics here. We might see an actual greater than the previous, or an actual greater than the forecast, and high chances are actual greater than forecast. And if that is to happen, we are going to see a dollar which is bearish, right? But remember, this time we are going to have CPI as well. So on Thursday you might see a first sell, that is on the dollar index, sell, and then you can see a buy. So the sell will happen for the unemployment claims, and then the buy will now come on the CPI side. That is my expectation, but we will wait and see what the technicals have for us. So that is it on Thursday. That's it on Thursday. On Friday we are going to have the GDP on the Great Britain pound. GDP is the gross domestic product, and here is going to be month over month. Previously it was at a negative 0.1 negative, and this time they are expecting an increase. So as well, I will expect an increase. It can increase from negative 0.1 to either 0.0, that is neutral, or it can go now to the expectation of 0.1%. So I'll be expecting an actual greater than forecast, and if that is to happen, then we are going to see a bullish pound. So meaning GBP USD is going to experience some buys. That will be on Friday at 9 a.m. So yeah, that's it. Later, that is now at 3:30 p.m. Later, that is now at 3:30 p.m. We are going to see news release in the US. That is now going to be the Consumer Price Index, which is the PPI, Consumer Price Index, which is what we call the PPI, right? And Producer Price Index now is now inflation on the producer side or the manufacturers. CPI is inflation on the consumers or the customers, right? So that is how it is for those who maybe did not have some clue on that. So we are going to expect, this is in the US, right? So having this back in your mind that the tariffs issue is still uh, an odd topic to talk about, right? Having that in mind, you can now start thinking what might happen to the producers. What what is highly expected? Is inflation going to increase in the production side, or is inflation going to reduce? Right? Remember, the cost of production in this case is going to increase because companies are now spending more to do what? To do importation of the raw materials, because the countries have decided to do what? To have imposition of tariffs. So on Friday, I will expect an actual which is greater than previous when it comes to PPI. That means I'll be expecting a bullish dollar and bearish gold. I'm talking of gold because mostly I deal with gold. Alongside gold, we are going now to have the XX USDs. That means any pair that is traded against the dollar being what? Being the quote or coming second, I'll as well expect what? A sell. And then the USDXX, the likes of USD JPY, the USD card, I'll expect what? I'll expect a buy on the on those pairs. So that is what I can expect from the economic calendar this week. So you have seen we have FOMC minutes, we have the CPI, and we have the PPI. Those are the major news you can check on this week. About the consumer sentiments, remember I told you I mostly don't like trading this kind of news. Why? Because in this case, these are people now giving out their views, and while someone is giving out their views, they have different feelings or expressions. You can go and doing the survey, and then the time you go to someone, maybe that person during that time the person is happy, you will get another one who is angry, and you are going to get mixed kinds of reactions from these people. But let's for this news, I just normally come and check after the release and check on the numbers. Mostly when the number is above 50, that is good news. When the actual is above 50, it's always a good news, but I normally don't trade those news. So that's it for the economic calendar this week. Maybe if you have a question concerning the economic calendar, you can just unmute your mic and raise your issue before we move on to the technical analysis and check on a few pairs before we call it a day. So if you have a question on that, kindly just unmute your mic and ask your question. Always remember what I've been telling you. If you want to trade news, don't use your main account to trade news. Don't use your main account to trade news. At least have two accounts. When it comes to news trading, have an account which you are going to use to trade news. During that news time, just fund whatever amount you are willing, or which amount if you are going to lose, you are very comfortable with, and trade that account. And trade news with that account, rather than you are using your main account, and then after you have gone into losses, you resort to doing what we call the revenge trading. And if you you start doing revenge trading, at the end of the day, what will happen? High chances are you are going to blow that main account of yours. So it's highly advisable you have two accounts, your main account and an account which you are going to use to trade news. So let's now let's get into the technical analysis section and have a look on what we expect from the charts this week. Yeah, so we first start with the dollar index. That is the dollar, the DXY, which is now the dollar index. DXY, the dollar index. So That's what we are going to start with. Now, remember, in every time frame, we have two things to check on. One is the trend. What is the market trend? Number two, you check on the key levels. What is the strong zones. Those are not the key levels. So now, when I start my analysis here, what I'll do, first I'll mark the eye, and marking the eye, I'm talking of the recent eye. Once I'm done with marking my high, I'll now come and check on the low, and do the same, right? So I'm done with that. Now let's check on the market trend. Let's now check on the market trend. If you check on the market trend, you will clearly see that the market has been on a very strong bullish trend, and then after that strong bullish trend, the market now decided to do a retracement, and then after doing this retracement, market has been in a consolidation. Market has been consolidating in here. The market has been in a consolidation, alright? You can clearly see that. So now, when we check on the current market, you can see this is now the monthly candlestick. Remember, we are only on date what? Today is on date 6. Yeah, today is on date 6. You can see the market had dropped massively. Then after coming to this level, you can see now we have a pullback, and if you clearly check on that level, it happens to be a very strong support zone. You can clearly see that it's a very strong support zone. And also the level, at that level there happens to be an order block, and in this case I'm going to use this. We have an order block and an imbalance as well in that level, so you can clearly see, and that is now after the market hit this level, you can see we have a pullback right now. There's a pullback over there, so that is clearly what I can see on the monthly time frame. That is all what I can see on the monthly time frame. There's nothing much for me over here, so I can now proceed to the weekly time frame. I can proceed to the weekly time frame and see what the market got for us over there. So now coming to weekly time frame, you can see this is how the market has been trading. You can see the market has been moving in this and then after coming here, the market dropped, then reversed, giving us an head and shoulders pattern, and then you can see we have had a very strong drop, right? And also here after this impassive drop, we had a retest and then another impassive drop. So what I can expect is a retest, an impassive drop to this level, which is now we have an imbalance over here, that is on the weekly time frame, and also the order blocks there. So I'll expect now the market to come to this level, and from there is where now I can look for the buys, right? From that level is now when I can look for the buys, right? I believe you guys can clearly see that. So for this, I had marked it on the monthly time frame, but now I'll have my focus on the on the weekly time frame. So this is what I highly expect from the market this week. For the market to do to give some consolidations, maybe. Once we go to the lower time frames, you are going to see the possible area for that. Maybe it can be at this level, then we can see a drop to here, and then from there now we can do it. We can look for buys. So that is it for that one. Then once you look at this level, you can see we have a strong level. So once the market now starts coming up, this is going to be a key level or an area of interest, because the market can come to this level and fail to break, then bounce back and continue dropping. So let's wait and see what happens there. So that is it on the weekly time frame. There's nothing much. There's nothing much. You can as well use that criteria of you come and do what? You come and mark the weekly high and also the weekly low, right? You mark the weekly high. This is now the last week's high. That is last week's high. You just mark it, and then below here we are going to have last week's what? We are going to have last week's low. We're going to have last week's low. Then once you have marked both, you can wait now for the market to take out one of the two, and then once the market takes out one of the two, you can now enter the market in the opposite direction. Let's say the market drops and takes out the low, you can now enter buys for the dollar index, or if the market comes up and takes out the high, you can now enter the sales. That is what you guys have seen people calling it the CRT, but I don't mostly use those terms. The most important thing is for you to just understand the market, understand what you are doing. That is the most important thing for you to do. So that is it on the weekly time frame. Let's see what the daily time frame got for us over here. Let's see what the daily time frame has. And on the comment section, kindly let me know the other pairs you would like us to have a look on, apart from gold and the GBP USD, because those are the only pairs I will be having a look at. If you have any other pair, kindly let me know. If you have any other pair, let me know kindly. Now let me show you something interesting over here. Let me show you something interesting. You can see this is what the dollar index has been doing. The market went like this, up, gave a double top here, a drop, and then completed the head and shoulders, and you can see that is how the market moved. Boom, the market dropped massively. Then now before this drop, you can see the market was trading inside this flag. This is a flag actually. If you check on it well, you'll see this was a flag. The market was trading here, and then it broke out of that flag very impulsively. It broke very impulsively, and currently you can see after the market hit that level which we marked on the monthly time frame, you can see we had a pullback, and now we have this strong bullish candlestick over here. So as I was just telling you, there's high chances that now the market will just consolidate, and then after doing that consolidation, we see now a strong a strong drop to this level that is at let's say it's at around 99.1, around that level, and then from there, sorry, not 99.1, let me just, here it is, the point, here is it. So yeah, it is on the weekly imbalance. We have a weekly imbalance somewhere. Yeah, this level, this is now where you can have your eyes at. That is at 100.86 over there. That is now where you can have your eyes on for the DXY buys. And then there's something interesting over here. We have this gap. Over here. I know majority of you don't know what is the cause of that gap, but you can just go and do your assignment. I'm not going to tell you. Just do assignment and know what caused this gap. Why does it happen? It happened on what? On Friday. Was it on Friday or Thursday? Yeah, on Thursday. We have that gap. You can as well see previously we had a certain we had that another kind of gap here, right? So once you see these kind of gaps in the market will always come and fill these gaps. So if you note a gap somewhere, it's important for you to always remember where that gap is at, because Even if you check on gold has a gap at there's somewhere gold has a gap. So one day the market will come to fill that gap. Once you see those gaps, make sure you remember them well. And the market has two types of gaps. We have these normal gaps, and we have the imbalances as gaps as well, imbalances. So now looking on the DXY, this is daily time frame. You can see how the market is. You can see how the market is on the daily time frame. So as I had earlier told you, and I told you about the protest which just happened yesterday. So there's high chances during the market open you will get another gap, and the dollar index will be somewhere here around 101 or even below. I don't know the the volatility with those news, but what I expect is that there will be a drop on the DXY, and also the entire tomorrow and Tuesday we might see a bearish dollar aiming for this level to take out last week's low. Then once the low is taken out, we can now look for um, buys on this, right? Um, that is daily time frame. Let's see what the 4-hour time frame um, got for us. It might have something interesting. So now coming to 4-hour time frame, there's nothing much I can see. Nothing much, but if you just use your I don't know how I'm going to say it. So you can see there's a possibility that now in this case the market is doing some consolidations, which might result to a flag, and then from there we can now be in for what? Be in for a drop before we continue with our bullish trend. So this is what I highly expect from the dollar index. Yeah. So just wait and see how the market is going to play tomorrow. Just wait and see how the market is going to behave tomorrow. So I don't know if we have anyone with a different view on the dollar index. If you have a different view, kindly you can just unmute your mic and let us know what you expect, which is different from what I've just done. Maybe you can be expecting sales when I'm expecting buys, or you're expecting buys when I'm expecting sales. So if there's any of you, feel free to just unmute your mic and say something. If there's none, if there's any, just unmute your mic and we have to see what you got. So, and if there's none, then we can just proceed. If there's none, we can just proceed and have a look on the GBP USD. We can proceed and have a look on GBP USD. You can check on GBP USD. Now, on GBP USD, before I do those other analysis, just look at this monthly candlestick. The market was very bullish, and then you can see the kind of a pullback. What does that show you? There might be a very strong sales coming. Remember, on the other side we have seen DXY. There's high probability DXY now is going to give a very strong watch buy. So the same thing might be happening to now the GBP USD. So for the time the dollar will be coming down, we might see the GBP USD maybe coming up a little bit to maybe 50% of this week, and then from there now we can go on long sales. First I mark my eye. I first start with the eye, and then it's marking the eye is the recent high and also the recent low. the recent low. Those are the two things I have to check on first. Then the other thing I'll check on is about the trend. You can see the market has been bearish over here. Then after that bearish trend, this one we can term it as a flag, but in the lower time frames is an uptrend. In the monthly time frame is a bearish flag. In the lower time frames is a bullish trend. That is why you can see the market has been playing along here. And now, where the market just hit and reversed, it happens to be what we call now it happens to be kind of whether, for those who know about supply and demand, for those who know about order blocks, whatever you're going to call it, yeah, that is now why we had that kind of a reversal over there. That is one of the reasons you can see we have a reversal there. Having this is now technically, but fundamentally you will have some other reasons. Now on the monthly time frame, I don't see something else to have focus on, so we can move to weekly time frame. We can move to weekly time frame. And now coming to weekly time frame, as we have done to the dollar index, we are going to do the same here. Just mark the weekly high and the weekly low, and then wait for the market to do something. We have the weekly high and the weekly low, right? We have the weekly high and the weekly low, and then when you check on this market, you will see that in the recent days, in the recent weeks, the market was consolidating until last week. When we had a lot of events which were taking place, and the market now did what? The market broke out of this consolidation impassively, and after the breakout, you can see the market just came back to that consolidation, right? So that is it on the weekly time frame. I have nothing much to say as far as the weekly time frame is concerned. On GBP USD, what is there? I can just mark this imbalance over here with an order block. I'll mark that because the market might decide. I'll come to this point, then go back to somewhere here, and then now come down. But let's continue to the lower time frames and see what the market might be giving us. And something else here, you can see where the market made a good reversal over here. Okay, it did not yet hit that imbalance 100%, but let's check whether it was 50% or it was above 50. So that is what we call it, a gang box. Let me change the settings. So for the gang box, the settings are 0.5, 0 and 1, right? 0.5 is always half of that of 100%. So once I'm done with that, after doing the settings, I just click on OK, and now you can see how things are. So the gang box, I have to place it on the imbalance, and you can clearly see the market reversed exactly at 50%. You can see clearly the market reversed at 50% of what? Of the imbalance, right? So the gang box is always a very powerful tool. The market reversed at 50%, that is now the 0.5. Then from there you can see the cells we add those cells from there. So if the market decides to go up, we still have a point to check on, that is now the 100%, right? Then yeah, it can, everything is possible in this market. The market can just go to that 100% and grab this buy side liquidity, then sell. But let's check on these lower time frames. Let's go to daily time frame. Let's go to daily time frame and see. Let's go to daily time frame and see. Now you can clearly see now the consolidation I was talking about. The market has been trading here for quite a number of days. This is where the market has been trading in, right? And then it broke out. First it grabbed this buy side liquidity, broke out there, and it's now back. So what I'll expect is I'll expect a consolidation as well, which will either reverse there, then go for sales, or it will go out slightly. It will slightly go out of that consolidation and then drop. By so doing, the market will have given us an head and shoulders pattern. Actually, I don't know whether you guys can spot that. If that is to happen, the market will have given us an head and shoulders pattern, and we can be in for some good sales, right? That is according to the daily time frame. That is according to daily time frame. So we have this level here to look at. Let me leave it marked that way. So the market might do this. The market might consolidate up to this level, and then now we can get the sales. By doing so, we will as well have an head and shoulders. The whole of this will be a shoulder, this will be the shoulder, and these two candlesticks here will be the head. Let's wait and see what happens. So let's go to 4 hours. Let's go to 4 hours. The trend here has been very bullish, actually. Maybe for those who are asking, the trend here has been very, very bullish. You can clearly see that the market has been on a very, very clear uptrend. The market has been on a very clear uptrend. You can clearly see that. The market has been on a very, very clear uptrend. So the moment this market will now drop past this level here and then give a retest, we will be 100% sure of now a change in trend. The moment the market goes past this lower high here over here, the moment the market will go past this impassively, a breakout must be impassive and not correcting. What does that mean? The market must not make a breakout consolidating. It must make it in an impassive move or a strong move. Like this one, these are now the impassive moves I'm talking about, not corrections. In most cases, when the market does a breakout in a consolidative manner, it's mostly a fake breakout or a fake out. So let's wait and see what the market is going to do. Let's check on 4 hours. Let's check on the 4-hour time frame. Let's check on H4. Coming to 4-hour time frame, you can see how things are over here. You can see the level I just marked on the weekly time frame. It happens to be an imbalance and an order block as well. So that gives me more courage as to why I'll expect the market to come over here, and then I can look for my sales, right? I can look for my sales. Remember, on the other hand, on the DXY, we saw that we expect a sell on the DXY. So the time DXY will be selling, we expect GBP USD to be doing what? To be buying. Let me check whether 1 hour has something important for us. Coming to 1 hour, there's nothing much. There's nothing on 1 hour actually. but let's see if market opens as we have just anticipated with that gap, then we might find the market over here. Yeah, so let's wait and see how the market opens. Then let's wait and see how the market opens, and then from there we can proceed to make the decisions before we end our trades. So that is my expectation on the GBP USD. I expect a pullback for the buys before we continue with the sells. So if there's any one of you with a different view on the same, kindly just unmute your mic and let me know what you expect. Anyone? Anyone? Alright, so if no one, we can go to gold. We can go to gold and then we can call it a day. So let's go to gold. Let's go to gold. I'm sure gold has shown majority dust. Gold has shown very many people dust for the last few days. This was yeah. So let's do a fresh analysis on it. Remember guys, we are in what we call the daylight savings. That's why you see that London session opens at 10 a.m. and not 11 a.m. as it used to be during what we call the normal trading period. The daylight savings mostly runs from March to September, and then from September to March again is when we have the normal trading periods, right? So if you have not known that, I believe you have you now know. When we come to this, remember this, I have marked the I. Remember gold just gave us the all-time high last week. This is the highest point gold has reached, right? That 164, and then after hitting the level you can see a drop. Actually trading something like gold with no resistances to say I'll maybe check on this and this, it's been tricky for so many people. You can see gold has been very bullish after it formed this inverse head and shoulders over here. After the market formed this inverse head and shoulders over here, the market has been very strong, very bullish, right? Yeah, sometimes I just sit down and say I wish I was patient and I wish I knew when I gave gold that was back in, was it in 2022 August, somewhere there at these levels. Yeah, it was at 1615 if I'm not wrong. If you check on the broker you'll see it was at around 1615 over there. If I held that market up to date, could have made a lot, but whatever you make, it was yours. Yeah, so let's continue with our analysis over here. I marked the I on gold. Then what I've marked is the previous month's I. I have marked the previous month's I. So there's high probability gold will keep dropping, coming to this level to have a retest and then continue going up, or come to this level and continue coming down. And now if the market will continue coming down, the next point of interest now is going to be this level. I can call it a zone, I can call it a level, whatever you're going to call it. This one, you can see it has been a strong one. Right now we can call it a support. It's a strong support over here. So this is now where we are going to have our eyes on. And then rather than having the whole of it, I'll just mark there where we have an imbalance. I'll mark that level where we have an imbalance. So that is it for me on gold on monthly time frame. Remember, when you are trading gold, always check on the news or the fundamentals. What is currently happening? What is happening? A lot is happening, and whatever is happening is what is going to drive these gold prices. But not only gold, but the entire forex market. Fundamentals are the real market movers, while technicals gives us entries, right? On technicals, we look for entries. Fundamentals gives us now the trend. If we have news which are implying the market is going to be bearish, that gives us now an hint. When we are doing our analysis, we will be looking for what? High probability we are going to look for sales. So make sure you learn fundamentals. So now I have the high and the low of the week on gold. Yeah, I have the high and the low. Gold actually last week moved a lot of pips, thousands of them, but it's okay. So high chances now this week the market will go below this low and give us a new low. Now on the weekly time frame, we have another strong watch. The strong level is here. The strong level is there, and I as well have an imbalance there, so I'll have my focus. My focus will be here. If the market comes down and goes past last month's high, I'll have to first check on it here. If it breaks, I can now come to this one. There's nothing much on the weekly time frame for gold. Let's come to daily time frame. Daily time frame. When you come to daily time frame and decide maybe let me check on the trend, you can clearly see yes, the trend has been what? The trend has been very bullish, or it's been an uptrend, and this is where gold has been trending in, right? That is it. Why did gold hit this level and then we can see a pullback? When you check, this was an imbalance, and I guess I don't know, is it on 4-hour time frame where we have a clear one? It was an imbalance, and also at that level you can see we have a very tiny order block, but I don't remember which time frame shows that clearly. I checked on that. You can see we have that pullback there. Now from what I know is that we are going to see consolidation or even an impulsive move, then consolidation around these zones or these levels, and then something like this, something like this, something like this. And if that one is to happen, we are going to have an head and shoulders on daily time frame on gold. Make sure you are very keen on this. Make sure you are very keen on this. Head and shoulders on daily time frame on gold. And if that is to happen, expect a very long term trend. That is now a bearish trend on gold. You can see we have this trend line support. If the market now this week closes below last week's low, what does that mean? We have now confirmed a trend what? A trend change. We have changed the trend from being bullish to bearish on the daily time frame. Remember, daily time frame is an higher time frame, right? So be very keen. Be very keen. And have a very close look on this head and shoulders, the possible head and shoulders formation on gold that is on daily time frame. If that is going to happen, my friends, mambo itachemka, chuma itayeyuka, it is going to melt. Coming to 4-hour time frame, you can now see clearly the head and shoulders I'm trying to talk about, which we are expecting. You can clearly now see the head and shoulders I'm trying to talk about. I hope you can now clearly see, right? Yeah, gold formed an head and shoulders actually, but that is clear on is it 1 hour before the drop? Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. This is where the head and shoulders was very clear. This one, we had this head and shoulders. We had this head and shoulders on 1 hour. Right now we have seen we expect an head and shoulders on which time frame? On the daily time frame. You can see this is the head and shoulders we had here, and the market did what it is supposed to do. It dropped massively. The market dropped massively. So now, as for tomorrow, expect gold to play around, just consolidate, maybe to this imbalance. Remember, this one happens to be a very strong resistance zone. So high chances the market will now come and respect that zone, and also at the zone it happens to be what? An imbalance that gives it now a strong resistance level. That makes it become a very strong resistance level. So this is what we might, and also the high probability on gold, this week. This is the point. This is the level 30.59. Let's just call it 30.60. That would be a point of interest for me on gold, looking for more sells, right? So if he's entering the buys, the market open is going to determine, but you can have a look at this imbalance over here. This can be a good watch point. 30.28 can be a good watch point. Let me just see on lower time frames something. This is on 45 minutes. On 45 minutes, 30.26. So 30.26 to 30.24. You can as well see the same point on 30 minutes. What about 15? So yeah, so 30.26 to 30.24 is going to be a very crucial point for us looking for gold buys. So that's it for today. If you have any question, kindly, if you have any question, anything to say, unmute your mic. Let's hear from you. So if the market comes to this the 30.26, if the market comes to 30.26 and buys all the way to the imbalance at 30.59, that's a total of 323 pips. 323 pips. That's not a bad number of pips. So let's wait and see what the market does. So that's it. If you have a question, kindly. Remember last week I told you I'll be expecting gold below 3,000. I'll be expecting gold below 3,000 very, very soon. That might happen with the FOMC. That is next week. Not this week, but the following week. But this week I expect the market to do something. Let me see. Bitcoin. Alright, I'll have a check on Bitcoin as the last one. So for the gold, if this one is going to play out, these are total of 1,000 pips. If you enter this trade with the 0.01 and just be patient, you can come out with $1 or $3 which is good amount. So let's check on gold and then we call it a day. Sorry, not gold, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is another very smart pair you can trade, but also very volatile. It can fuck you up any minute, any second. Bitcoin, BTC. Hey, so as you can see, this is where I'm expecting the market to come back to before we continue with the buys, and it's almost there. So, but let's just do a fresh analysis with you guys. Let's do a fresh analysis with you people. Yes, somebody, is there someone who has raised their hands up? Okay, let's continue if there's none. I thought there's one. So what I'll first do here, I'll mark the high. This is now the all-time high on Bitcoin, right? Then once I've marked the high, I'll come back and mark the low. That is marking the low, I'm marking the recent low, right? I've marked the high, I've marked the recent low. On the other hand, we initially had a very strong watch. Initially it was a resistance, but after the breakout it became now a support. So the market has high chances of coming back to these levels. That is now where you saw I had marked, and I am going to be looking at those levels very keenly. That is between is it 75 or 70 what? Let's say 74,000 to 65,000. Those levels, those are the levels I'll be looking at for Bitcoin possible buys, long-term buys actually. You can see that. I believe you guys saw that BlackRock bought Bitcoins worth, is it $65 million or $1 trillion? I saw something of that kind. And also I saw that the US government sold a lot of Bitcoins, if I'm not wrong, on was it on Thursday? There has been those kind of news. So that is monthly time frame, there's nothing much there. Coming to weekly time frame, it's clear what Bitcoin is doing is forming what? A continuation pattern. Remember, the market moves in two phases, that is impasse and correction. Impasse and correction. An impasse move is the strong move, then the correction is now this kind of consolidation. As you can see, this was a very strong okay, let me start with this, and then you will now understand me clearly why I'm saying that in Bitcoin I expect something. So this is now the consolidation which happened. We had this strong move, we had a correction over here, then we have this impassive move. Currently we are having this correction, which I expect it to come to this level, and then we can expect a strong move, right? Bitcoin does not need much analysis actually. I don't normally do much analysis on it, no? So for Bitcoin, I've been on weekly time frame, I'm done with the analysis. But let's go to 4 hours, daily and 4, and see whether there is something else we can have a look at. Coming on 4-hour time frame, you can see the market formed a bearish flag. The market formed a bearish flag, and it has broken out, and you can see it's already dropping. So the first the final TP on this is going to be the 90% where the channel began, and that will be around 76.5 thousand, right? 76.5 thousand. That is where all right, I'll have a look on that. That is where we expect the final take profit for those who are already in the Bitcoin sales at this level. You can see the market is still dropping, so it can happen this way. The market can continue and come to this level directly, or the market can go back, retest, and then drop impulsively and go past that level and give us a touch on the trend line, which will lead it now to our area of interest, where we can now look for Bitcoin longs. So just get ready to do something with Bitcoin in here between 73.1k and 66.5k. Those are the levels I'll be looking for Bitcoin longs. So the one who had asked about Bitcoin, I hope you are satisfied with what I've done, because there's nothing much for me to do on it. On the 1 hour time frame, the market formed an head and shoulders pattern, and you can see that is what has caused that drop you can see over there. Bear in mind fundamentals, what is happening in the US, the tariffs and other some few news. Here the market formed a double top, right? Market formed a double top over here, made a drop, then a retest to this neckline, then double top neckline, which is this level here, and then so someone who had asked about Bitcoin, I guess you are satisfied. Okay, thank you. Let's check on let's just go back to gold for the sake of our friends, and kindly you can highlight where you would like us to have a look at specifically. Mr. Ken, kindly. Say something, say something. Say something on this gold. Hello?
I didn't get, nilipata kama unamalizia gold, so siku get anything.
Okay, nimekupata. So let me just do the analysis kwa nini ya wanda. Acha niache hiyo ingine, acha nifanye hapa, acha tufanye another fresh analysis juu yako. Okay, so kwa gold what I've done, kwanza nimemark the high, that is now the all time high ya gold, nikamark, then nikafuatia nikamark this imbalance hapa hivi. We have this imbalance yenye gold imeform hapo, and then ukiangalia vizuri there's another area of interest kwa gold hapa hivi. Initially ilikuwa ka resistance, but after market ime breakout obviously imekuwa support, and then hapo ndani kuna this imbalance, so nikaleta my point of interest kwa imbalance, the imbalance yenye ina happen kuwa na kitu inakaa order block pale. So kwa monthly time frame iko hivyo, then kuna hii imbalance nyingine iko hapa hivi, of which sijaimark sana this imbalance, but wacha ni mark, so that is another point. So hizi tatu ziko hapa chini ya points of interest, because unaona hii market inashuka, inaweza come ikuja hapa irespect ipande kidogo na then iendelee kushuka, ama ikuje huku irudi juu kidogo endelee kushuka. Yeah, wacha tushuke kwa tuendelee kushuka na time frames tuone. Remember what we do is what we call the top down analysis. Unaanzia juu ukishukanga. Now this is last week the high ndio hiyo nimemark, so let me mark the low of last week. The low of last week ndio hiyo, the lowest point market ilienda last week ni hapa hivi. Now after market imefika hapo, you can see we had a pullback, and this time I expect hii market ipande kidogo, the exact point a possible point tutaona kwa lower time frames, then after imepanda ikuje take out what the low ya last week, we take out hilo ya last week, na by so doing hiyo ita confirm we have a change in the trend. So the market now kutoka kwa hizi time frames tunaenda itakuwa sasa isha shift from being an uptrend or a bullish trend to a bearish one. So that is it on the weekly time frames. Ina mambo mingi because now market ikishaendelea kushuka ndio sasa tutakuja tukue na point of interest pia kwa this support level ama demand zone, then kuleta interest yetu hapa pia we still have another nini hapo hivyo, we still have another imbalance pale hivi. So hapo iko hivyo. Let's check on daily. Ukikam kwa daily where the market is now reversing, it happens to be what, an imbalance. I believe you can clearly see it. Ndio hapa hivi, hapa kuna imbalance na hiyo nini hapo hivyo yenye ime cause that kind of a pullback. Then ukiangalia hapa we had a trend yenye unaweza chorea trend lines. Remember, trend lines unafaa kuchora in a trend in market. Trend line unachora in a trend in market. Trend in market is either an uptrend or a downtrend. Consolidation is not a trend in market. Market hapo iko standard tu. So ukishachora hizo trend line hivyo unaona vizuri sasa. Where did we have our recent or the last lower highs? Ni hapa hivi. So if the market goes below the recent lower high, it will pay a new lower high. That means now something is happening. Inamaanisha the trend is now changing. So if market sasa this week itaenda below last week's low, it will pay a new low. To expect irudi tena kidogo, ifanya retest, then tushuke. And by so doing ndio nimesema market sasa ikifanya hivyo na irudi hapa hivi juu, itakuwa imeanza kutupea what, an head and shoulders kwa daily time frame. Na mali tuna expect kama itarudi sasa kwa hii imbalance iko. We have an imbalance kind of pale, kuna hiyo imbalance na pia tutakuwa sasa kwa so na remember market, I expect gold iende below 2300. That is a fact. Sorry, not 23 but 3000. So market kama itacheza hivyo, it's very clear hapa tutakuwa na this let me call it the left shoulder. You have the head and now you are going to have the right shoulder over here, and then that is now an head and shoulders, very clear. Then boom, hapo hivyo iko. I hope hapo hivyo mambo iko clear. Hapo. Then tuende kwa 4 hour time frame. Kukuja kwa 4 hour time frame, you can clearly see what has been happening. Market hapa iliform double top, letter M hapa hivi. This is what happened. The market iliform double top alafu ikamwagika. That is according to 4 hour time frame. Market iliform double top na ikamwagika, right? There's something else pia. Hii 4 hour time frame kuna vile unaweza iangalia pia vingine kuonesha something else. Ukiangalia hapa unaweza term this one pia za flag ya kuoneshana buys might continue. That's why nimewaambia you have to keep kuangalia what is happening more on the news. Uangalie hizo news ni nini inaendelea, because this can happen this way. Hii market uone tu imepanda ikienda itupea new high. Inaweza rudi huku juu iende itupea a new high. You never know. So make sure you unaangalia news kabisa, what is happening to the fundamentals. If hii wiki kutakuwa na news zingine za mambo na tariffs nini, angalia hizo mambo na tariffs, niliwapeanga hizo notes. So rudi tena uzisome uelewe. Kama unaweza ingia YouTube, unaweza enda kwa ChatGPT, unaweza tumia Google, like use every resource yenye uko nayo uelewe what are these tariffs, what are the effects on dollar, what are the effects on gold, what are the effects on stocks, vitu kama hizo uelewe. So now ukiangalia hapa kwa 4 hour time frame pia, you can clearly see the possible head and shoulders I'm talking about hapo hivyo, then huku juu kote. Alafu hapa sasa chenye market itaform ikuwe shoulder, then tunaweza expect market imwagike hapo. That is now on the 4 hour time frame. Hapo ni kwa 4 hour time frame. So now tukikuja kwa tukikuja on the 1 hour time frame, naweza kuwa sasa na expect the consolidation here, consolidation icheze hapa hivi, market icheze na consolidation, icheze na consolidation, alafu sasa ikuje kuendelea kumwagika. So na expect kitu inakaa namna hiyo. Yeah, so Ken, what was your view? Una expect nini wewe kwa gold?
Mi pia nilikuwa expect hicho bado iendelee kusell.
Okay. Poa. I guess we are done. There's nothing. Hapa sioni kitu ingine mnasema tufanye, so